my little yarnivores and spiderettes. Fiber Spider back again with another tutorial just for you. Today we are going to be making keyhole scarves. Really simple, really quick, so easy. I think you guys are really going to like this. Now this scarf I was able to finish in just an evening. Didn't take up a lot of yarn, and it's so easy. The construction is only a 2-row repeat with a row of eyelets, and you can customize this to a degree, bigger, smaller, more or fewer eyelets, etc., etc. And I'm going to go into those details later. Now this piece, this is my small version. I do have a larger version as well, and I'd like to show you that too. Now this one, this is 6 eyelets, if I'm not mistaken, and this did not take up a lot of yarn. And I used Caron Simply Soft. Now I used 2 different colorways. I used, let me see here, okay, so there is Taupe Marl and Blush Marl. I believe that this is the Blush Marl, and the Taupe Marl I have right here. Now this is my larger version, which has 8 eyelets. And so I want to show you that real quick. And the beauty of this is this ain't going anywhere because it's a one piece that is threaded through eyelets. So you don't need a shawl pin or a brooch or anything like that. You're creating these eyelets. It's a one piece. It's so fabulous. And it's basically an asymmetric triangular shawl where you feed the skinny end through the eyelets at the other end, and you're good to go. Now, the larger version I have right here, and how I personally like to wear them is the skinny end on my right side and the sort of fatter end on the left side. Now, this right here is the straight edge, and then the angled edge is at the bottom. And so I just sort of scoot this around my neck and feed it through these eyelets, starting with going down and in, and then up through the next eyelet, and then down, and then up, and then down, and then up, and then down and up. Now, this is not something that you put on in 2 seconds. It does take a little bit of fiddling and finessing and tweaking, but I don't care. I love how this looks, and absolutely. So just sort of scooch your piece up, and you could have it all bunched up and have your tail hanging down if that's what you fancy. Me personally, I think it looks really nice if you bring the top all the way up and then adjust the rest of them so it creates this beautiful sort of pleated look, a little bit of ruching, if you will. And because I couldn't leave well enough alone, I decided to play with other yarns as well. And mixed bag on how I feel about that. But this is the larger version, so it has 8 eyelets. Now, I want to show you what else I've been working on. Okay, now for those of you that have been watching me for any length of time, you know that I love ombre yarns, and I thought that the Red Heart Super Saver Ombre would be ideal for this kind of project. Now, that is a matter of personal preference. So what I did was I did the, what was it, the larger version? Yes, the larger version with the Red Heart Super Saver Ombre. This is real teal, I believe, or deep teal, I believe. And so I made the exact same piece using the exact same hook size. However, I have mixed feelings about it. I might have used a larger size hook or given larger eyelets because this is a thicker, more robust, less flexible yarn. And so I had a little bit more difficulty threading the skinny end through the eyelets. So I'm thinking either the eyelets needed to be bigger or you needed to use a more flexible yarn. Also, this, I didn't sew in the ends because I think I'm going to frog this, just me personally. Now, as much as I love the ombre, when you feed it through the eyelets, okay, there is a very significant contrast. And personally, I think it looks a little bit wonky. Personal preference, personal opinion. And so if you feed this through, you can see already that it's very striking. You know, it's a very, very distinct contrast. Now, that might be something that you're going for. Me, personally, I think that using that particular yarn worked out really, really nicely. Now, also, the other thing that I mentioned before is when you're trying to thread the tail through your eyelets, it's a little bit tricky. You know, it takes a little bit more chutzpah, if you will. You can do it, but it takes a little bit more, you know, finagling and whatnot. The other one, it was so much easier. So yes, this is within the realm of the possible. However, the extreme contrast between the light and the dark, I think, is a little bit much and a little bit overstated. So, personal opinion, take it for what it's worth. So I just wanted to give you the heads up as far as using different colorways of yarn and how that will affect the ultimate look of your piece. That being said, without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so before we get into the actual stitching, don't worry, be patient, it will happen. I wanted to go into the Simply Soft Marled. By the way, this video is not sponsored, but I like to let you know what it is that I use in case if you want to duplicate the results. Now, this is a weight of 4 yarn. Personally, I would say it's like a 3.5. It is very, very soft and very supple and flexible. So the drape is perfect. Now, this compared to, like I said before, the Red Heart Super Saver Ombre, it's a lot more dense. So things need to be tweaked just a little bit. Yeah, so this is the Blush Marl, I believe. I have both wrappers. It's 100% acrylic, and it is about 240 yards. Now, when I made the small version, I had this much left over from one skein. Pretty cool. When I did the larger version, much less left over. So you can do an entire project with just one skein, not a problem. Also, I used a 6mm size J crochet hook to make this. Now, as far as the number of stitches involved, I did some calculating for you so that you didn't have to worry about it. And so I've got my calculations right here. Now, when you are working your project, we will get there. When you're working your project, you eventually need your eyelet row, which is what I was calculating up here, doing double crochets and then an eyelet, double crochets and then an eyelet. Now, for the smaller version, which is 6 eyelets, you only need a total of 40 double crochets. If you want to do the larger version, you're going to need a total of 52 double crochets. Now, that means you'll have eyelets that are 3 stitches wide, and to sort of bulk up the edges a little bit, you have 4 stitches at either end. Now, if you were to do the Red Heart Super Saver, I would suggest perhaps doing a sequence of 4 so that the eyelets are 4 stitches wide as opposed to 3 stitches wide, which might help as far as feeding through the tail a little bit easier. So then if you did the the sequence of 4 for your eyelets and solids, like up here, it would be a total of 54 double crochets for the small version, or a total of 70 for the large version. I do hope that this makes sense. So, personal suggestion, yeah, if you want smaller eyelets, you would do either 40 double crochets or 52. If you want the larger eyelets, you would do 54 for the small or 70 for the large. So that, again, personal preference, but I like to give you options so that you can customize this piece a little bit easier. So what I'm going to be showing you today is the sequence of 3 with the large size. So it's going to be 52 double crochets, and then we do the eyelet row. Okay, so with that all gotten out of the way and being said, now we're going to get to the good stuff. Okay, so those of you that are still watching, thank you for joining me. All right, we're going to start off with a slip knot, and yes, I'm using my 6mm J hook and some of my leftover. Now, so I'm going to start off with a slip knot and a chaining of 4. And then into that first chain, 2 double crochets. There we are. And then chain up 2. Now, this chaining up of 2 does not count as a stitch. Okay, it's just to give us height. And then we turn our work. Now, into this first stitch right here, 2 double crochets. This is our increase. So 2 doubles. And then double crochet into the next 2 stitches. This last one is a little bit fiddly, but it does get easier. There we go. Okay, so you can see that we have our increase right here. Again, this chaining up of 2 does not count as a stitch. So right now we've got a total of 4 stitches. Okay. Then for your next row, and it's basically just, like I said, a 2-row repeat. Your next row, you would chain up 2, turn the work, and again, this does not count as a stitch. Now we're going to double crochet into these 4 stitches, but we're going to increase at the end. You only increase on one side, the increase side. The other side needs to be our straight edge. So double crochet our way across, increasing at the end. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and then this last stitch, the 4th stitch, 2 doubles. So it's going to be 4 and 5. Okay, then the next row, chain 2, again, doesn't count as a stitch. Into this first stitch, we're going to increase. So you start with an increase or you end with an increase. So going to do 2 doubles into this first stitch. And then a double crochet into the next 4 stitches, because this at the end, that little chain 2, does not count. So every row we are increasing by 1 stitch, and that gives us a slow, gradual, tapered, asymmetric triangle. There we go. So looking at our work, you can already see how it's slowly growing on the one side and remaining straight on the other side. So for instance, down here we had 4, and then up here we have 5, and then up here we have a total of 6. So let's do a couple more rows. Chain up 2, turn the work, and so the increase is at this side over here. So double crochet into that first stitch, work our way across, increasing at the end. So we've already got 2, 3, 4, 5, and then that last stitch, not the chain 2, but that last double crochet stitch, 2 doubles. So we should have 7 at this point. So 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect. Okay, let's do another one. So chain up 2, turn the work, and again, this is our increase side. So 2 doubles into that first stitch. So that's 2, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Pull out a little bit more yarn. So the next row will be 9. So chain up 2, double crochet into the first, work our way across, increasing at the end. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and increase with 8 and 9. Okay, one more. Chain 2, turn. Okay, it's the increase on this side. If you look closely, you can see that we are in fact increasing. And also, the angled edge is the edge that you would be doing your increasing, not the straight edge. So into this first stitch, 2 doubles, and then continue on with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So good progress already. I mean, granted, the following rows take longer and longer to do as you keep having your piece grow and grow and grow, but you know, we're getting there. Okay, so last row that we did, we had 10 double crochets. As always, omit the chaining up of 2. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. The following row, it would be a chaining up of 2, double crochet your way across, increasing on this side. Then it would be chain up of 2, 2 doubles into the first stitch, work your way back, etc., etc., etc. Now, because I have 10 finished double crochets, I use my row counter to mark that I have 10 double crochets. So every time I do a row, I click to see, you know, like, all right, so now I've got X number and so on and so forth. Now, going back to our notes really quick. Okay, what I'm going to be doing for this particular project, I am going to finish my row, which will have a total of 52 double crochets. And then on the next row is when I'm going to be doing the eyelets. So I'm going to continue to do my stitching off camera, and I'll meet back up with you. Now, you can do, you know, ultimately whatever, you know, number value you want. If you want to do a smaller one, well, then end after you finish your 40 double crochets in total across the edge, you would end with 40. Me, I'm doing 52. Or you could go with an alternative route of 54 and 70. We'll get there. I really hope that this does clarify things and make sense. So I'm going to continue stitching off camera, and I will see you in a bit, and we will do the eyelet row for my large 52. All right, see you soon. Hello again. Alrighty, so I have my 52 stitches along my working edge, and so this is my straight edge, and then on the other side I have my increase side. Okay, so we are going to do the doing, but need to begin my row just like any other with a chaining up of 2, and let's get started. Okay, so chain up 2, and then I'm going to start this row by doing 4 double crochets, and then I'm going to get into my sequence of 3s. So 4 doubles going into that first stitch, so that's 1, 2, 3, and 4, chain 3, and then skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, into that 4th stitch, double crochet, and double crochet into the next 2 stitches for the total of 3. So we have ourselves a nice eyelet right there. And then chain 3. Skip 3 stitches. double crochet into the next 3. And so I'm just going to keep doing this all the way across and then end with 4 double crochets. Now, what I have done is I've created the mathematics and the sequencing for eyelets that are the same size as sort of the filler in between. You can play around with it, and I encourage you to do so. You know, if you want larger eyelets or fewer eyelets, or, you know, really whatever you want to do, more power to you. If you don't mind fiddling around with the numerics of it all, that's fine. I just wanted to take some of the legwork out for you. And so you just keep doing your chain 3, skip 3 stitches, and then 3 doubles until you reach the end. And I think what gets me is just how quick this is, which is perfect because I wanted to give some last minute presents to some coworkers of mine, and I thought this would be perfect. And I needed to create a bunch of these in a hurry. So this is the result. So chain 3, skip 3 stitches, double crochet into the next 3, chain 3, scoot, skip 3 stitches, double crochet into the next 3, chain 3, skip 3 stitches, and then because we're at the end, it's going to be a total of 4 double crochets because we have our increase. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Perfect. All right, so then what I did for my personal example was I just did another 3 more rows, incorporating the same increase on the one edge and leaving the other edge just as is. You can do more or fewer rows, you know, totally up to you. You know what, let's just do the sort of finishing row, and then you can keep going from there if you want to. All right, so let me show you that. Okay, so after you've done your eyelet row, going to chain up 2, and this is my increase edge, so into that first stitch, 2 doubles, because we want to maintain our asymmetric triangular shape. We don't want it to just sort of come plopping out. So we've got 2 doubles into that first stitch, and then a double crochet into each double crochet as we come to it. And then when you reach the eyelets, it's very simple. It was a chain 3 space, so you would do 3 double crochets into that space. Now, if you were doing the larger scale version with 4 chains instead of 3, you would do 4 double crochets. So I've got my 3 doubles into that chain space, and then it's 3 doubles, 1 in each. And then in my chain space, 3 doubles. And then a double into each stitch, and so on and so forth. It's really that easy and stress-free, which, hey, that's a good thing these days, right? So then 3 doubles into the chain space. You know, ultimately, you really don't need to do your stitches into the chains. Just go into the chain space, make it easy on yourself. Personally, I've never been a fan of stitching into chains. It's just unnecessary agony sometimes. You know, another thing that you could do, if you wanted to give it a little bit more pizzazz, if that's what you're going for, you could add a border row on here, maybe some picots. Honestly, though, I think that sometimes less is more, and I think that the texture of the sort of ruching, bunching, pleating, if you will, I think that speaks for itself, quite frankly. Okay. And we got a bunch more. You know, as far as other possible colorway choices, I think that a solid, you can't go wrong with a solid colorway for this particular design. The yarn that I'm using, it's certainly not a solid, it's more of a tweed, and I think that it works. A quick changing variegated, it might be a little bit too busy, especially with the ruffling, but something like this or a solid definitely works. You know, let me know what you think about the ombre one that I did. You know, I've gotten very mixed reviews from the people that I've shown. Some people, you know, really dig it. Other people, not so much. Personally, it's not quite my style. You know, a self-striping yarn might be cool. I don't know, I haven't tried it yet. But I wanted to give you an idea of what something else other than this would look like. That's why I wanted to try that ultimately. And so I'm almost at the end here. Just 2 more stitches. And there we go. Okay, now, because this is our flat edge, our straight edge, in order to do the next row, you would chain up 2, turn your work, and then double crochet into that first stitch and every stitch all the way across, and then when you reach the other end, that is the increase edge, so you would finish this row by doing 2 double crochets into that last stitch, and then you would, let me scoot out of here. Get out. So, you know, I did my chaining up of 2, double in the first, scooting all the way to the other side, and then you would do 2 double crochets into this last stitch, chain up 2, turn the work, 2 double crochets into the first stitch, double crochet your way across, and then, you know, you would be reaching your straight edge. Personally, I found that this row here and then 2 more rows, so it'd be this one and 1 more row, 3 rows total after the eyelets. I thought that works. You know, I thought that you really didn't need more than that. Totally up to you naturally, but there you go. The keyhole scarf. Alrighty, my dears, so that's going to conclude today's tutorial on the keyhole scarf. I really hope that you liked it, and if you did, please give a little thumbs up button down below. You know that I appreciate your appreciation as always. And please, in the comments section down below, please let me know what you think you're going to do with this particular project. What sort of yarn, what sort of colorway. Always interested in your feedback and your inspiration. And you know what to do until next time, right? I want all of you to stay inspired, stay caffeinated, stay stitching, and please, stay safe. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you in my next video. Bye for now, everybody, and have a great day.